It's been a little bit since I uploaded my last video, and it's been even longer since I've made an actual old computer related video. I do have a video planned on a new computer I got semi-recently, and I also have a video planned out for my 486, an actual full in-depth video. I did upload the video of playing Doom on it, but I've never actually gone into detail with it. While I am going to go over some of the changes I've made to the Turbo XT itself, this video is more so about this IBM PS1 color VGA display I got probably a few months ago or so now. If you notice, if you can see it on camera there, that power light is on. And the reason for that is because half the time this monitor boots up just fine and there's no problems, and the other half of the time it decides to boot up incredibly dim. There's no way to get it to reliably boot up in one way or the other. It just kind of decides what it wants to do, I guess. And earlier this morning it booted up in the correct way, so I've kept it on. Not for a horrifying amount of time or anything, just so that I wouldn't have to sit there and cycle through repeatedly, turning it on and off, praying that it was going to randomly decide to actually do what it was supposed to the next time I booted it up for recording. So the thing stays on until I'm done recording this video, pretty much. One of the biggest changes I've made is I removed that AST Mega Plus multi-IO card, because while I was going through and reconfiguring this thing, I realized that I could no longer find any documentation for the card online whatsoever. And there's all sorts of jumpers, there's all sorts of dip switches, and I no longer know what they do. I knew what they did when I configured it the last time because I had a copy of the manual for it, but I didn't save it for whatever reason, and now I no longer have any idea what anything on that card does. Let me see where I put that thing so I can kind of show you how crazy it is. Oh, there it is. So as you can see, there is this dip switch block here, this jumper block down here, and these two jumpers here. Now the problem is that I can find no documentation on what this dip switch block does anymore. And I was kind of able to figure out what these two jumper blocks did by looking at the manual for the AST Mega Plus 2. But the problem with that, of course, is that it may not actually be doing what it says in the manual. This may have some slightly different configuration. And I didn't really want to chance it with this, so I ended up taking the RAM off of this board and putting it back into the motherboard directly. I forgot to mention that the reason why I went back to digital recording instead of using this camera here is because my Pentium 4 is currently not functioning, at least the way I would like it to, and it needs a reinstall and probably an entire hardware reconfiguration. And so I no longer have a video capture computer to get the video off of the tape on that mini DV camcorder. So I apologize, you're going to have to bear with me using this Sony digital camera again. This thing is horrible for trying to record a screen with. It's the one that'll focus in and out repeatedly over and over, just losing its mind. So for now, it's the best I've got. It's better than using a cell phone camera at least. So I'll go ahead and get this thing booted up here. You can see that nice, fancy, colorful BIOS on the Video 7 VEGA VGA card there. That's probably one of my favorite things about it. Of course, because the real-time clock is missing, now every time I do this, I have to enter in the time, and it got to a point to where I just got this digital watch here sitting next to the computer so I can just enter in the time properly. Of course, I'm using a gear that is compatible with non-Y2K software. Let's see, we'll go Probably don't need to time it to the actual second, but I do it anyways. In terms of software, there's actually a lot less on here now. There's really just Norton System Utilities, Microsoft Works 2, Check It, and one of the new ones I decided to put on here is this paintbrush thing, which is really neat. But other than that, there's really not much been done with this system so far. I'm going to start up Works here. Oh, well, I got to switch directories. And there it goes. I've got this running in a graphical mode so I can actually see what changes I'm making to the text in terms of formatting, but it is extremely slow. Let's see, and there's the test document there. You can see just how long it takes to load that. It is quite rough there, and it'll even lag when you start inputting text. So if I go down all the way to here and start a new paragraph, spelled that wrong. And now it behaves and doesn't display what I was describing at all, so that's awesome. Anyways, earlier when I was typing all of this out, it was taking a minute to actually load the characters on the screen. But if I go and highlight this here and just change it to italic and I guess underline, that's very useful to have when you're doing something like this. So to me at least, it's worth the lag as compared to the normal text mode. The paintbrush program is definitely interesting, and it doesn't work the way I'm used to. So, for example, the first thing that threw me off is if you go into the directory here and then just try to run the executable directly, it does not like that. And as you can see, it tells you that you need to run the batch file that's associated with it. I'm guessing because that's where it loads in the video driver and then loads the program, and if you just do this, it doesn't have anything to do with the video driver. So instead, you run that little batch file, and then it loads up. I apologize about the flickering. This is, I guess, 70 Hertz, and this camera really doesn't like it. And when you go in to start actually using this, you'll notice when you click the line or any of these shapes that instead of later versions of bitmap editing software similar to this, you actually cannot just click and drag to create the box or the line or whatever. I'm not holding down the mouse button at all. This is just how it is. And in order to adjust where the box starts, you have to left click and then move the box out. And in order to actually place it, you right click and then it puts the thing in there. And the lines work like this, all of that works like this. I haven't messed with this too much, I just got done installing this. But it is pretty interesting to have something like this just in DOS instead of under a GUI like I'm normally used to. The last thing I wanted to mention about this system, and you could probably tell as soon as you heard it turn on if you've watched any prior videos about this machine, is that I changed the hard drive out from that Seagate, I think it was a 610 megabyte drive, to a 4.3 gigabyte Samsung drive. The reason why I did that is because I wanted to have more than 10 megabytes worth of storage. That 600 megabyte drive was full of bad sectors, and the first 10 megabytes, maybe 11 megabytes of it was good. And I was using that with this system for a little while after I moved the 420 megabyte Connor drive into my 486. But I didn't really feel good about having only that 10 megabytes of storage, and it was only a matter of time before that disk just fully died. And I just grabbed a different IDE drive I had laying around and threw it in there, and there you go. Now it has 32 megabytes of storage on it instead of only 10 megabytes. Not that it really matters at this point because I have so little actually on the disk, but I'm sure eventually I'll find some horrifying way to actually fill up the storage on it. And of course, if I need to create more partitions, I can't speak today. If I need to create more partitions to store data, I should just be able to do that with F-disk. And because it's a 4.3 gigabyte drive, as far as in terms of the context of this machine, I might as well have infinite storage. Now this monitor is certainly not designed for what I'm using it for. This is to an IBM PS1 computer, one of those that are probably only about yay tall. And they don't have their own integrated power supplies. They actually use the monitor as the power supply. And this is the cable that would normally plug into the PS1 when it sits on top of it. So I just taped over this thing with paper tape, which is awesome. And it works as its own standalone monitor now. So it's a quite nice display. It's very vibrant. It's very bright, you know, when it actually decides to turn on properly. The color representation is all there. It doesn't look like it's ever been burned in. It doesn't look like the tube itself is burned out. So maybe I should do this to help prevent it, seeing as I'm, you know, done recording the computer. But I'm incredibly lucky that the thing works, and I guess it'll be useful if I ever can get an actual IBM PS1 computer. And I'll just plop this thing on top of it and go from there. So that about does it for this video. Just a quick little update on this system and how it's been doing. And hopefully here in the near future I'll be making a video on the 486, of course, as well as the compact Presario I have now, because it's just a lovely computer and I only have the best things to say about it. With all of that being said, I hope you guys enjoy watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.